Hi, I'm Princess Knowles, and my life matters. My life matters. My brother's life matters. My husband's life matters. My friend's life matters. Black lives matter. Unfortunately, that needs to be said. Why? Because we are seen as villains and not human, not citizens of which a country that officers who do the killing are sworn to protect us. Everybody knows the case of George Floyd, how he was wrongfully killed in those 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Honestly, I still cannot watch that full video because it's not just him who I see. It's my family. This video has been particularly hard for me to make because it should be so simple. Why are we looked at and seen as villains? Why do we have to fear sleeping in our beds, going to the grocery store, playing in the park? Why do we have to live by different rules than our white counterparts? We have to teach our kids separate rules in order to survive in this country. I hate it. As I said, this has been particularly hard for me, and to sum it up really is that I just hate that we're seen to be so different, because we're not. We're loving, we're human. My call to action from me to you is that you stand with us, because we can't do it on our own. If you don't see a problem, there's not going to be any change. Self-reflect. Look at what you've done and tell me how you can help make a change for civil rights. Civil rights to be treated as civil.
Hi, my name is Robbie Epitome. My friend Runa Ray commissioned me to talk about my experience as a black man in America. As a black man, I today own Reflection Technology, but I met Runa Ray during my ownership of Anomaly Model Management. Runa, who is a brilliant fashion designer, reached out to me for some talent to walk on her New York Fashion Week show. And after several bookings, she and I remain friends. I have a different perspective on my experience as a black man in America. Having grown up in Long Island in one of the black suburbs of New York City in the early 70s, 4 years after Dr. King was assassinated, my house was in a zone where I was bused to an all-white school district, which to me was a direct result of segregation, while my friends in my neighborhood went to all-black schools. I was the only black kid in my class from K through 12. I begged my parents to let me use one of my friends' address so I can attend one of their schools. The answer was always no. It was in the 6th grade that I was introduced to hip-hop music when my boy and his dad came back from the Bronx with a hip-hop cassette tape. And the tape, that music changed my life forever. My career started with the Bomb Squad, the production team that produced Public Enemy. Public Enemy was voted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Public Enemy was a black militant group whose focus was to uplift the black youth via the message in the music. And that black awareness was in the late 80s and early 90s. Additionally, with the Bomb Squad, I also worked on Ice Cube's first solo album called America's Most Wanted, America spelled with KKK. I viewed the black awareness movement from a leadership standpoint because of the group and the message it created. It inspired me to stand up for my rights and truth as a black man. Even being Grammy nominated myself, that fight never ended. You still had to fight. Today, the youth have taken to the streets due to the death of Mr. George Floyd. That murder witnessed globally was the straw that broke the camel's back, and the youth today said, that's it, I can't take it, I refuse to have it, I refuse to be silent. Systemic racism has been a black man and woman's plight in this country since 1619, and today's youth spearheaded the fight to no longer keep quiet, but protest peacefully with all races so we can finally achieve the equality and justice for all as promised in the Constitution. So Black Lives Matter, police brutality reform, and black people voting are the biggest actionable initiatives to affect change in the black community moving forward. I myself champion that change, and I look forward to seeing that change. Runa Ray, Robbie Epitome. Peace out.
Hi Runa, this is Randy. You know me as Camille, but I really wanted to make this video because I'm in a huge love and supporting black person of Black Lives Matter. I'm a policy analyst by trade, and in the future I will be an attorney. Prayers go up for that. But I really wanted to just say that my experience as a black person has not been easy. A lot of my trauma has been suppressed because I don't want to think about it. I do want to go. I still go outside. I do still want to go to parties. I do still want to go to schools that are across the world. I studied abroad in Italy. I studied abroad in Australia. I've been to Indonesia. I've been all over Europe, but the first thing I had to do before going was actually looking up what are those countries like for black people? Are black women getting raped? Are they being sex trafficked? Or, are restaurants feeding us? Or can I actually be a patron to these small businesses and large businesses? Will they accept my dollars? And some places will dismiss you, and that's okay, but I had to look all of that up before going anywhere. And that's not how a black person should live their life. I didn't want to live my life in fear, so of course I still went. But a lot of the time, even just when I'm home in the US, going to an Asian beauty supply store, being followed around, I'm just getting conditioner and shampoo, but they're following me around the store. Or your receipts are being checked at a lot of stores. They just want to see what's in the bag. Okay. Or, when I'm driving and I move to another lane when the police is behind me, so that just in case they can actually move past me so that I'm not scared the entire time that I'm driving. There are so many small things, preventative measures as a black person that I do and that we've done and that my mother has taught me to do, that it's just it's already in us. It's already in us to do. So it's very important that today, tomorrow, and forever, whoever is watching this, take the time to start with your city councilman. Talk to the police officers. We can't talk to them anymore because there's no true barrier that they won't kill us. We can't talk to teachers who don't want to teach black children. You have to talk to them. Other races of people have to talk to them. We need other races of people to speak up, to say the names of the people who've died. Breonna Taylor should still be here. She should have been safe in her own home. So take some time to make those calls, send that text, call your congressional aides, call your city councilman, call the police department and let them know, call the district attorney's offices, call the UN if you have to, call the ICC. There is an international criminal court system. Call them. Make it known. Write letters. Send postcards. People need to know what is happening. People need to understand what is happening. And they need to do so in a safe and supporting environment. They need to take time to research our history and to fight and advocate for us to live better lives in the near future. I thank you for this chance, and I thank you for allowing me to speak on my own experience, because usually, as a young black woman, they are ignored or denied. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eddie Rodman Jr. I'm the founder and CEO of Rodman Enterprises, public relations, brand management, talent procurement, and investment consulting firm. I'm here first, as my shirt says, as a man. Why? Because as a man, all men matter, And if you look at the civil rights movement, the signs as I am a man were prevalent during videos and justice. And in 2020, that same justice for black men still reigns today. So not only am I a man, I'm a black man. I'm a black man who's been oppressed, been through social justice, just like everybody else is going through in the world. I have a gun put on me by a cop. Once he found out what kind of job and who I work with, then he tried to give me his cell phone number and wanted to hang out. I've been in events where I wore a suit and tie, dressed up to the nines, everybody giving me compliments, small, intimate, and not even being recognized or noticed as a black man or a person in the room, because the white person who was a speaker, very nice, eloquent man, he, after everyone introduced him to me, he says, "I'm sorry, I didn't even notice you." And that's how black people feel and perceived and seen in society nowadays. We're not even seen. We can walk in a room, not be acknowledged or seen. But we're monsters, we're scary, criminals, we're everything but a man. And most importantly, being a God-fearing man allows you to even lose faith in yourself, in this justice system, in life. So why do Black Lives matter? Because we matter because we are men first. We are men, we are brothers, we are sons, we are fathers, grandfathers, uncles, and we are here to let you know this injustice, call to action, needs to be taken seriously so we all can work together. Diversity and inclusion is not just because we want a seat at the table. We are here to let you know we rightfully can do the work. We rightfully can change the culture. Don't just call us when the culture needs to help you make money. Call us when the culture can help you change the world. So my call to action is, are you here to change the world? If you are, we're ready. And we always have been ready.
Hello, my name is Taniya Gilmore. I'm Community Associate with Labor Relations, and I'd like to speak with you about a subject matter that I'm rather passionate about. The United States has been built on money and power. In order to sustain these two things, people of color have been sacrificed through the use of slavery, drastic corruption, and the murdering of people that look like me. I, as well as many other Americans, are frustrated and tired as we still remain hopeful for change within our government, the industries in which we work, and society in general. Black Lives Matter, and this shouldn't be met with a rebuttal of all lives matter. Does the mention of Black lives disrupt your ego because you're afraid that systemic equality means that power will be taken away from you? The fact is, Black people are disproportionately killed at the hands of police officers. We're currently facing a climate filled with sudden awareness of racism toward Black people throughout all industries, especially those that can lead to our demise, such as the medical industry. And it makes me feel very uncomfortable knowing that many are shocked that this is happening. So many questions fill my head. I'm aware of the discrimination and racism directed at people of color, but why replays in my head as a Black woman that has majored in criminal justice? This is all too familiar for me. There's an evident disconnect between police departments and the Black community, and how I often ask myself, how can I rely on a department that was built on slave catching to serve and protect me when its foundation and laws were meant to hinder me? Our current system of policing must be dismantled, and something new must be implemented as we strive to find something that truly serves and protects our communities. So we've already established that racism is an issue within our society. Where do we go from here? 1, we must hold people accountable when displaying racism, even microaggressions. We cannot have racism exist in a thriving society. 2, we must remove laws that target communities of color and lead to mass incarceration. Lastly, funding must be removed from agencies that aren't serving us and redirected to those that can help us move forward and build our communities up.
My name is Daryl Dwayne. I am an artist, educator, and I am the coordinator of community engagement for a major artist cultural institution. I have a few seconds to be able to share why Black Lives Matter and why it's important to me. My background isn't any different from any other African American who was born and raised in America. My family's history starts back like most in slavery. And I know we think that slavery is so far removed, but I'm only 2 generations removed from, really technically 1 generation removed from slavery, as my grandfather was born into slavery in Alabama. On a school trip with a pre-college program, a group of bikers, I remember just like yesterday, on their bikes, corralled around our bus. And basically they gathered around us and they called us many derogatory terms, namely using the N-word. They called us all types of things. And keep in mind, we're all high schoolers. We are between the grades of 9th and 12th grade. It was a crash course for those of us in our group who had never experienced racism prior to that, for them to be very aware of what it is to be Black in America. And I can go through countless stories, between being pulled over by police and being met with aggressive police officers who are, to be honest, inciting me to act out in a certain way, and me having to remember my ABCs of a traffic stop just so that I can make it home safely to my mom. That's happened multiple times since college and after college, and here I am now in my latter 30s, and to see that these situations and to experience some of these situations that are still happening. Here I am, again, 2 generations removed from slavery. My grandfather born into slavery, hearing what it was like for him. Then hear my uncle's stories of marching with Martin Luther King for a brighter tomorrow, so that me and my sister and my generation could pursue things like college at any university we wanted to attend, and pursue and acquire jobs that we would desire, no matter our ethnicity or no matter our race, to still here in 2020 be looking at a landscape that hasn't changed much. However, I'm optimistic. I'm always optimistic. I'm hoping that my voice and the collective of other voices will help continue to shift and change the tide of intolerance. I'm optimistic that love will win, that love conquers all, and that change begins with us. Change begins with you. Every single individual watching this video, no matter your race, no matter your ethnicity, you have to be the vehicle of change. And that's all I got.
Hello, my name is Abbey Felix. I am from the New Jersey, New York area, and I currently am a visual merchandiser for a beauty company. Growing up West Indian American, I got to experience both worlds of living in the Black American experience as well as the Black West Indian experience. And I remember the first time I found out my skin color was a problem. I probably was when I went to, I was in 3rd grade when I went to public school, and I realized that was going to be a problem. And from that point on, you just learn how to deal with it. You learn how you go through the changes of not liking your skin color. You go through the changes of wanting to be lighter. I've seen my father get pulled over, or heard of him getting pulled over multiple times. I've seen when we will go into a nice neighborhood how white people react. You learn to, and I've had multiple, I could go into depth of actual things that has happened, from classmates making racist remarks about my skin tone and all of that. You experience that, you see that. It's nothing new, and unfortunately we do experience it at a very young age, but it's time for change, and we can't let even micro racism slide by either. It's time for new legislation. It's time for defunding the police and investing in brown and black people communities through education. It's time for learning the real history, the real American history, which is also black history, which has most of the things I've learned was outside of school and doing my own research. It's time to vote. It's time to put in the right people that represent us. It's time to put in right legislation. The system's not broken. It was just doing exactly what it was supposed to do, to keep black people down. I believe that my kids will see a better future, and we are making strides to getting there. But yes, Black Lives Matter. They always do matter, and they always will matter. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miriam Rabia. Black Lives Matter to me is simple. In order for us to reconcile the injustices, the disparities, the unfair treatment of people that look like me, we have to recognize that Black Lives Matter. And for a while, really since its inception, this country has shown us that they don't. Luckily for me, as a young black woman, I've had few encounters with the police. And the encounters I have had I've left physically unharmed, but the rate at which they were escalated, how aggressively I was policed, I do feel like it was unfair. And when I talk to my white counterparts, they cannot believe that that happened to me. From getting my car impounded in the middle of the night because I had an expired registration, to getting a DUI because I admitted to a police officer that I had one drink at a bar and I was 30 seconds away from my home. Those kind of things, a lot of times in communities that don't look like us, don't happen. They get escorted home. They get a warning. And the aggressive policing, the lack of funding in our education systems, even the food that we have access to is all systematic. And it all has to be reconciled in order for the message of Black Lives Matter to ring true. My call to action would be to defund the police, and not just to take away money to punish them, but put it into programs that can better suit specific situations. In my opinion, police should never be called in a case of a mental health crisis. In my opinion, a social worker should be called out in the case of a domestic violence crisis. And also, we should be putting more money into education, into food, into communities that lack public works like parks and libraries. We cannot over-police a community and expect it to thrive when we offer it no other options. So my call to action would be, if Black Lives Matter, prove it. Put money into our lives.